From distant lands we gather, hearts of fire all along. Oh, big Nick, cause we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight. Warriors of the ancient sea, songs of glory dark and bold. In the night, our spirits free, legends born, tales unfold. Oh, big because we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight. From horizons wild we roam, with thunder in our soul. Every battle brings us home to the stories ages told. Oh, big Nick, cause we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight.
Hey, yo, folks, and welcome to this, well, slightly unplanned stream. Now, today I was supposed to go through the trial transcripts, starting from the top, and then things changed, thanks to Andy Kopsa, because she got a hold of the infamous, eluding 12-page Odinist report, Detective Murphy's 12-page report. We have seen it referenced in the Frank's memo. We have heard about it. We know that people involved in that report, one of them was murdered just a month after it was handed over to the investigation, allegedly by an Odinist, a former prison guard Odinist. And so I have to give props to Andy for for ruining my plans. Thank you. But for now, of course, I have to give props. So I will let her. The link to this is in the description. I will let her have a few minutes here explaining.
Good morning. How's everybody? So I'm just going to
That was just me playing it in.
make a couple statements, and then I'm going to just jump right into this and get through it. First of all, this is not a public document. This is a document that I obtained through a source. And so I know there's a need for transparency in this, and I've made it available to all eyes, and she's going to be posting it after this live because I want to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do to protect what I believe is the right thing to do with redacting phone numbers and the names of some children. And that's it. So I want to make sure everybody understands that. I did not obtain this from a public person, right? Okay, so I didn't obtain this from a court. This is from the Frank's memorandum. This is a 12-page report that Detective Murphy wrote. And yes, it should be public, but it's not. And that's why I'm approaching this the way that I am. And I know that people are frustrated, but suck it.
Yeah, we love Andy. We love Andy. So yeah, So what I'm going to show and read is, because this has been taken from scanned PDFs, scanned papers, scanned documents. There are, in the papers that she obtained, there's these what do you call it, bubbles in it. There are crests in the paper, so it is written. So this is, I'm not going to read from an original. So everybody, why the sorry folks, why is my Wi-Fi acting up? I have excellent. Why is it just checking? So yeah, I'm just going to show you guys. This, so you can see. I don't know why. I think it's a StreamYard thing. See, I have excellent connection, but still, according to StreamYard, I don't. So, folks, yes, you caught alive. You caught alive. Hello, hello, by the way, and hello over at Rumble. Hello, hello, hello. So, for you who are completely new to this case, 2017, Abby and Libby was dropped off at the Monon High Bridge, and they never came home. They were found the day after, murdered. And for the first few years of this investigation, the investigators had a very solid lid on it, which is not wrong per se. But once we got to, once they charged Rick Allen for the murders, everything started to get strange and weird in how the investigators and the prosecution handled this case. It became really, really weird in what they, since day one, have hidden from public view. I will give you a few examples. Well, the 12-page Odinist-Report, which is a summary of an 85-page report that is still not public. They lost the first 70 days of interviews with witnesses, initial suspects, all gone, allegedly. Do I buy it? It was by mistake? Fuck no. Fuck no. I believe it is intentional. Those 70 days disappeared when they started to get questioned about, well, what about this? When Rick Allen's attorney started to say, we need this. No, he was supposed to take a plea deal and make it all go away. That's my opinion. Here's all the charges. Plead guilty, make it all go away. And they didn't. Then they tortured Rick Allen for months. Until he allegedly confessed. 61 times, they claim. Now, if you go into the Innocence Project, the number one reason for innocent people spending time in prison, or false confessions obtained through unethical, immoral cops who are just in it. Hey, let's get a confession, lock it up, throw away the key, move on to the next person we can frame. Because we are lazy, stupid motherfuckers. So that's a brief summary. I have a bunch of videos and streams on this subject. Everything up until the trial. More or less, those are speculation streams and videos because we didn't know. We got the Frank's memo, we got bits and pieces, and had to try to fit it all together. But this 12-page report, the prosecution and the investigators have gone out of their way to try to keep a secret. So let's find out why, folks. Let's find out why they wanted this a secret. Delphi supplemental report. Elvis A. Fields, January 2018 interview of Mayor Jacobs by ISB troopers Murphy and Purdy. Jacobs states that on February 14th, 2017, she picked up Elvis at his trailer park, no surprises there, and took him back to her house. Elvis, by the way, is one of the people who allegedly confessed. He is allegedly one of the person who said, if you find my DNA on the girls, I can explain it. The purpose of this was Elvis was going to work on Jacob's vehicle engine. Jacobs say that Elvis was rambling, hyper, and borderline incoherent. Elvis was talking about having a quote-unquote brother and being a part of a gang now. That would be the Odin Brotherhood, or the Vinlanders, or as I affectionately call them, diaper Nazis, because they have nothing to do with the Aesir faith. They are insecure, tiny-weenied fucktwats, diaper Nazis who cosplay as quote-unquote Odinists. States he was on a bridge with 2 girls that were killed. Tells her Abigail was a pain in the ass and a troublemaker. She said that Elvis tried to give her a blue jacket he had in his possession. She was unaware of any missing or murdered girls and refused to take the jacket, telling him she had her own jackets. February 2018, troopers Holman and Murphy interviews Elvis Fields at Rushville PD. I assume this is Holman, not Holman, which means Murphy and Holman work together. Holman, as you know, is the person who eventually interviewed Rick Allen through the Reed technique and tried to have him confess, where Holman lied again. And Holman is, in my opinion, clinically retarded. I'm going to get it out there, just so you know. Elvis denied being part of any murders in Delphi. Elvis consents to DNA swab taken by Murphy. Elvis ends the interview stating he is tired and wants to go home. Murphy drops off Elvis at his residence in Trailer Park. Elvis exits car and starts walking towards his trailer. Elvis then turns around and comes back to Murphy's car. Elvis asks Murphy that if his spit is found on one of the girls, but he could explain it away, would he still be in trouble? According to Judge Gall, this is not a nexus. A person through others. Now, that's hearsay, but it is still an investigative lead. But this here. Elvis asked Murphy that if his spit is found on one of the girls, but he could explain it away, would he still be in trouble? That was never allowed by the defense to bring up in the trial. Elvis Fields' cell phone. A record check shows that Elvis' cell phone sits on tower closest to his residence. It's not used, active from 10:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. approximates. The phone is then used to call Odinism in Rushville several times. Cell tower closest to his residence. There's, I believe, one cell tower or two, maybe, in the entirety of Delphi, Indiana. Means nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Do a shot every time there's a nexus. Oh, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Once again, didn't get my notification. Yeah, I know YouTube are interesting in that it's fundamentally broken. Oh, thank you, Parabellum. Gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. Now you who were gifted have access to all my members only videos. You have early access to most of my videos that I publish, and you have access to my Discord. Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Interview of Elvis Fields, June 20, 2018. This is over a year later. I mean, February 2018, a year fucking later. January, almost a year later. Elvis interviewed by Ferency and Murphy. Elvis stated that he was not in Delphi on February 13th, 2017. Claims he was in Rushville. Look at this. His cell phone. It is not used, active from 10:30 to 7:30. So, no alibi. we know about other cases where phones are not used, where the investigators have no qualms in using that as, oh, he left it at home. Not here. Says he was in Rushville, claims some of his unusual Facebook posts are quote-unquote just decorations he likes to make. Elvis tells interviewers that he's not in a quote-unquote gang. Gangs were never mentioned by interviewers. Elvis agrees to polygraph. Then a few days later, a lawyer contacts Murphy stating any more contact with Elvis must go through her. Now, this here claims he was in Rushville. Now we know that well, they might go into it later, but the reason why his phone doesn't place him in Rushville is because he was in a hospital, and hospitals jams his phone. Folks, hospitals do not have jamming devices. I don't know what to tell you. If you believe hospitals jams phones, then yeah, I can't do anything about it. Ferency and Murphy interviews family members. Ex-girlfriend and mother of Elvis states that Elvis was fascinated with railroad trestles. He tried to get her to cross one near the residence several times. Daughter stated that Elvis became enraged when he found out she was having a child with an Hispanic male. How about that? Nobody is surprised by diaper Nazis being infuriated by mixing races. Nobody is surprised. Daughter also stated that she was at Elvis' apartment once when he lived in Concealment. He claimed there were demons in his closet. He then ran outside with a knife, yelling on the street that he would kill any African Americans that he saw. Tiffany recalled that the mom was upset that Elvis had money to go to Lafayette, Indiana, but no money to pay child support. So he's a fucking loser. Now, important in this is that one of the victims' mother was dating out of race, so to speak. August 8, 2018, interview of Joyce Moffett, Elvis' sister. In October 2017, Elvis moved into the residence of his sister in Dunkirk, Indiana. Approximately 2 weeks after moving in, Elvis approaches Joyce out of the blue and tells her he was on a trail and bridge with 2 girls that were killed, and he was going away for a long time. Still no nexus, according to Judge Gull. In regards to the above statement, Joyce first denied any knowledge of Elvis telling her the above. She then started repeating that she heard her sister tell. Joyce then challenged us to make Elvis take a polygraph, and then you will know. When we told her Elvis so far has declined to take polygraph, she began crying. She then yelled out and apologized to her deceased father and gave above statement. August 2018 of Jennifer Melton. Jennifer is Elvis's ex-wife. Yeah, if Elvis can get married and have kids, there's hope for everyone. Jennifer states she was married to Elvis for 8 years. They are 2 children. She stated Elvis was constantly abusive towards her and the kids. His abuse got worse towards her after the kids were born. She states Elvis chased the boy out of the house with a shotgun when Jason was 19 years old. When Tiffany was 16 years old, she had to pick her up from Elvis' house because he was outside her residence with a knife, yelling that he would kill any African American. She stated that Tiffany suffered a spiral fracture of her arm under the care of Elvis and his parents. Jennifer said that Elvis was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but he rarely took his meds as prescribed. Now, this goes to his credibility of his so-called confessions, of his alleged confessions. Yeah, but it goes to credibility. It's still a nexus. Thank you, eBay Warhol, Tracy Fagan, for the demonetization jar. Thank you so much. Yeah. And welcome to my show. There will be words. If you are easily offended, this is not a show for you. Rarely took his meds as prescribed. He would go nuts when not on meds. Tiffany recalled that one time she locked him out of the house after he battered her, remembering yelling at her that he was going to kill her when he got back in. She believed he was in possession of a knife at the time of the incident. So, how was the Abby and Libby killed? Knife. When asked if Elvis ever carried a weapon on him, she stated he carried a boot knife. Jennifer stated that she found it odd early in their relationship that Elvis and his mother would go to the bathroom together. Oh, this is bad. She claims Joyce told her years ago that Elvis' mother would perform on him when he was a child. She does not recall which city Elvis was going to regarding redacted statement, just that it was north of Indianapolis. She said Elvis owned guns, but they were all rifles and she never saw any handguns. She stated that Elvis was an accomplished fisherman and hunter. He would often spend long periods of time in the woods. She heard after their divorce he would camp, live in the woods when he was homeless. Tell me again why she married him when she knew this early on in the relationship. Mary Jacobs records Elvis Fields, August 31st, 2018. Prior to August 31st, 2018, Elvis and Mary had only spoken one other time since February 14th, 2017. This was in April 2017. On August 31st, 2018, Mary picked up Elvis walking down the road in Rushville. Mary had previously purchased an audio recorder several months earlier. She turned on the recorder when Elvis got in her vehicle. Elvis was unaware of the recording. They drive to Elvis' trailer and Mary goes inside. Joyce is present. 28 minutes into conversation, Mary brings up their February 14th, 2017 conversation. She asks Elvis if he remembers giving her a blue jacket and giving it back, saying she didn't want it. Elvis acknowledges this. And now, this blue jacket, was it a man's jacket? Was it a jacket similar to Bridge Guy's jacket that he was trying to give her the day the girls were found? We don't know, because the investigators never investigated. Mary mentions that the police have been to her house to ask her questions about Elvis' possible involvement in Delphi murders. Elvis says he's tired of people accusing him of being involved in the Delphi murders. He then says, quote, "Like I told them, what are you going to do? Dig up the ground where I took a piss and say, oh yeah, we got him?" That's a weird fucking statement, isn't it? And yeah, as Keith said, especially considering they paraded Rick's non-DNA matching different material jacket around the trial. Yeah, in all of this, remember, there were unknown male DNA on the girls. Unknown male. Because according to the prosecution, the amount was too small for proper testing, but it was enough to exclude Rick Allen. His DNA is not on the crime scene. Never found on the crime scene. But the unknown male DNA. The excuse they used, well, could have been from laundry. Could have been family member. Folks, the unknown male DNA was on both girls' genitalia. And you, Prosecutor McLeland, with a straight face says it might be from laundry, family member. Why would a male relative to Abby and Libby wash their underwear, and only the underwear? Does that make sense? And if, say it's true, yes, Abby's and Libby's male relatives wash their teenage minor girl relatives' underwear. Is that really something you want if you're a family member to have that spoken? That male relatives of Abby and Libby wash minor girls' underwear, and only the underwear? Hi, Jennifer. Yeah. That's the guy. And we also find out. I will go through all the transcripts in the coming weeks. According to at least one testimony, one of the girls spent the night at her grandfather's. Now add that into unknown male DNA on genitalia. It doesn't make sense, does it? Hey, D, what the F did I walk into? Yeah. Note, Elvis never had this conversation and gave this statement in either of his interviews. Yeah. In the interviews with cops, he never brought this up. Weird, isn't it? Mary brings up their actual conversation. Elvis denies remembering what they said and says he has to leave and departs from trailer. Elvis Fields has numerous Facebook pages. One of his current page, he has the limit of 5,000 friends. Approximately 75% of these friends are young Filipino and Asian girls. So that was Elvis Fields. A lot of strangeness. A lot of things that could actually count as admissions. Spit. Where is it? Here it is. Elvis asks Murphy, Trooper Murphy, that if his spit is found on one of the girls, but he could explain it away, would he still be in trouble? That's Elvis Fields. No nexus, according to Judge Gall. Rod Abrams. Rod was living with Elvis on February 13, 2017. Elvis and Rod worked for Ned Smith paving business. He was convicted of assault with a deadly weapon in Florida in January of 1998. Abrams interviewed by Murphy and Ferency on August 29th. Abrams was agitated that we were talking to him at first, but calmed down. He stated that Ned Smith, Elvis and himself, was in Muncie, Indiana, visiting a sick friend in the hospital. Here is Elvis Fields' so-called alibi. Visiting a sick friend in the hospital on February 13th, 2017. When asked if Elvis had his cell phone on him, Rod said yes. When asked if he had his cell phone on him while in Muncie, he stated yes. Remember, Elvis' phone. Where is it? Was not used active from 10:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. It was in Delphi. When told that we would check cell phone records to see if they were at the Muncie hospital, Abrams stated that hospitals cut cell reception on phones because they interfere with hospital equipment. So their phones probably did not show they were at the hospital in Muncie. Fuck. This is insanity. And still, this was in 2018. And they buy this? Robert Thomas, Elvis Fields' neighbor in Trailer Park. Robert Thomas lived at this address. Thomas moved from Delphi back to Rushville, Thanksgiving 2015. He died of an overdose 2016. According to friends and family interviewed, Robert led family and friends from Rushville at the Delphi house. It is unknown. Photos of tattoos obtained from prior Elvis arrests in Rush County. Many show white supremacy type symbols. Nobody is surprised. Hey, Nicola Maxwell, thank you for being a member for 6 months. And Lynn Britton, member for 13 months. I'm so glad you're covering this. Thank you. I don't have a choice. Or C99. Multiple people inventing alibis. Isn't that strange? Brad Holder lives in Logansport, Indiana. His son Logan Holder was dating Abby. Holder served in U.S. Army with Patrick Westphal. Both were deployed to Afghanistan. Practices as a true religion? No, they don't. They are diaper Nazis cosplaying. But this is what brought me into this fucking case. These fucktwat morons, diaper Nazis, claiming to practice my ancestors' religion. Vinlanders, whatever the fuck you call yourselves, go fuck yourself. The whole lot of you, you coward, tiny weenied fucking morons. And it's very devout to it, formed an Asatru tribe called the Tribe of Gungnir's Path. Gungnir is Odin's magical spear. Yeah. With Patrick Westphal. Interesting here is that if one of Rick Allen's prison guard had the patches that you see on the thumbnail, after a while, he was told you're not allowed to have patches on official government uniforms. So he was told, remove them. What did he do? He tattooed the symbol of Odin's spear on his face. That's an interesting connection. You have some of the people, the initial people of persons of interest, with sketchy alibis at best. Diaper Nazis cosplaying as Aesir believers. Holder makes his own Viking-style knives and weapons. Takes pictures of sticks, trees, and natural formations in the woods that he believes is God/Odin talking to him. If you talk to God, perfectly okay with it. When God talks back, time to get committed. Also, arranges sticks into Asatru style symbols and runes. What was found on the crime scene? Sticks and branches, some in the shape of runes. Many of these that are posted on his Facebook page are very similar to the Delphi crime scene. Traveled to Delphi often to practice this Asatru with Westphal. He often brought Logan with him. During one of these meetings, Logan met Abby at Canal Park in Delphi. According to Logan's statement, this meeting took place the second weekend of January 2017. Holder was a Vinlander hang-around, not a formal member or probate. Facebook post dated January 22nd, 2017 with Westphal in Delphi claims he was at work and got off between 2 and 4 p.m. He states then he went to Anytime Fitness. Says he got a text from Logan, unknown time, on February 13th, simply saying she's missing. Other known Facebook page name, Steve Rogers. Now, his alibi are timestamps of his was he at work? Well, his time card says so. Was he at Anytime Fitness? Well, his card was swiped. Are there any actual besides that, are there anything that says he actually was at work? Or was at this fitness? No. Elvis Fields Brad Holder. Elvis mimicking various and numerous Facebook posts that are on Holder's Facebook page. Clear, that's a connection. Logan Holder. Logan was 16 years old on February 13th, 2017. Claims he was Abby's boyfriend. He was 13, you sick fuck! And that they spoke every day per social media messaging. Stated he was introduced to Abby per Libby in December 2017. They met once in Canal Park the second week of January 2017. Patrick Westfall served in U.S. Army with Holder, combat duty in Afghanistan, on disability for PTSD claims. Lives in Delphi. Has prior Flora, Indiana address. Flora. A diaper Nazi fucktwat. Lived in neighboring town of Flora, Indiana, where 4 African-American girls were burned to death just months before Abby and Libby was killed. He practices as a true religion, claims to be a type of priest for it. He's a cunt. Member of the tribe of the Gungnir Path with Holder, appears with Holder approximately 10 times in photos with Holder prior to February 13th, 2017. He appears in none after February 13th, 2017. States he's often in the woods around the Monon High Bridge with kids. Has video on Facebook page cutting down ash trees in the dark with chainsaw. Note, one of the sticks on Abby has a clean, straight saw type cut. States on February 30th, 2017, he was home with his son all day. State they were going to join search party on February 14th, but the girls were found prior to them arriving. Oh no, did you miss it? Vinlander probate as of February 30th, 2017. Other non-Facebook name, page name, Jäger Tyrson, Patrick Donovan, claims he's some type of Asa true priest / holy man. Patrick Westfall is a diaper Nazi with a vivid imagination that he is a practicer of the Aesir faith. He is not. He's a fucktwat. Yonyi Messer, currently on home detention in Rushville, Indiana, on meth-related charges. Fourth Amendment waiver. Vinlander probate with Westfall. February 30th, 2017. He was friends with both Holder and Westfall. Claims he does not speak with them now. Claims he was kicked out of Vinlanders for fist-fighting with the Indiana leader, Mickey McKinley. Knows Elvis Fields, states Elvis lived with his uncle, and he would bring them firewood because the residence they lived in had no power. Elvis claimed he does not know Holder, Westfall, or Messer, stating, quote, they might know me, but I don't know them. Messer claims to have an SOS stomp on sight out on him from Vinlanders due to the fight with McKinley. Denies being in Delphi on February 13th or driving Elvis to Delphi. Denies ever being in Delphi. States Holder would attend social function and meetings at McKinley's house in Indianapolis. Says Holder defecated on McKinley's couch. And went outside of McKinley's house with a gun and started yelling that he hated African Americans. Holder was brought back into the house and beat up by McKinley. Messer states he's not into the Asa true religion. Messer has a mixed child with an African American woman. He claims that Vinlanders had no problem with this. Claims that Holder is a little weird and could be capable of harming someone. But Westfall would not be capable of the murders. Messer said the only active members in the Vinlanders, Indiana, was McKinley as well as Westfall and himself as probates. Taylor Hornaday, ex-girlfriend of Yonyi Messer, together on the day of the murder. Interview number 1 on October 25th, 2018. Assistant Chief Todd Click. Taylor stated that Messer told her that the police had questioned him regarding the Delphi murders and that we would probably be calling her for an interview. She said Messer had a stomp on sight on him by the Vinlanders. She was tired of him hanging out with them so much and not her. She told McKinley about a mixed-race child that Messer has fathered with an African-American woman. This is against Vinlanders' bylaws, and Messer's probate status with them is pulled. She says that Messer refused to turn over his Vinlander items, and that is why the SOS was put out on him. She stated that Patrick Westphal eventually came to Rushville, and she gave him Messer's Vinlander's items. Taylor had gone to Vinlander meetings with Messer held at McKinley's house in Indianapolis. This is where she met Patrick Westphal and Brad Holder. She talked more with Westphal and liked his girlfriend Rachel Miller. She did not talk much to Holder. She found him creepy and made her uncomfortable. During one meeting that Holder did not attend, the other Vinlanders brought up that they heard Holder was a possible suspect in a murder in Florida. They did not want Holder hanging around with them anymore, due to the possibility that it may bring down heat on them. She said during the meetings, the men would separate from the females and drink from a horn during ceremony. This is so stupid. I mean, oh. Taylor said Messer was introduced to the Vinlanders by Brian James. She said Messer claimed to be part of the Hammerskin when he was younger. Hammerskins, who the fuck are those? Okay, actual Nazis. Nobody is surprised. Let's see. She said that Messer told her he had done horrible things and should be in prison. He was never specific in details. She knows that Westphal is from Delphi and assumed Holder was from the same area as Westphal introduced Holder to the Vinlanders. She said both Westphal and Holder had brought their kids to the Vinlander meetings at one time or another. She witnessed the kids taking part of the ceremonies and drinking from the horn. It's so stupid. Taylor confirmed that her and Messer saw the news report of the Delphi murders later in the week on TV. She confirmed she made the statement that she hoped Holder and Westphal were not involved. Messer also took a guy named Josh Stevenson to the meetings. There was a male by the name of Doogie that hung around the Vinlanders. She described Doogie as a lower functioning mentally and was not all there. That's a description on all of them. All of them. Did law enforcement ever get their DNA? Holder, Westphal, I think Elvis they swabbed, but I don't know about Holder and Westphal simply because 70 days missing of interviews and probably a lot more. They took advantage of Doogie to perform menial tasks for them. Doogie stopped coming around the Vinlanders after another group gave him a jacket and some patches. She stated that Westphal, Messer, and McKinley went to Minnesota for a Vinlander event in March of 2017. She said this was the final straw for her regarding Messer spending so much time with them. This is when decided to tell McKinley about the mixed-race child Messer had. Taylor stated that Westphal and Messer were like brothers. She claims Messer was friends with Holder, but not to the extent he was with Westphal. She stated that they communicated using Facebook Messenger. She said that Westphal cut ties with Messer after he was kicked out of the Vinlanders. However, she did not know if they started talking again after her and Messer broke up. She states that all the Vinlanders were into Odinism. They are cosplaying. They are diaper Nazis cosplaying as believers of the Aesir faith. She stated that Holder and Westphal talked about making their own weapons in the form of knives and hammers. Towards the end of this interview, Taylor stated that she remembered that her and Messer were fighting around Valentine's Day in 2017. The fight was due to the fact that Messer was up there with the Vinlanders around Valentine's Day, and he did not acknowledge the day or want to be with her around that day. She said they had a series of texts during this time where they were arguing. Taylor said that Messer told her he had shot someone in the hand on the east side of Indianapolis. She says Messer never talked about the Delphi murders with her. Since the breakup, she does not know if he has reconnected with Westfall or Holder. She said that Messer had a fake Facebook page where he was posing as a quote-unquote Chinese guy. He has told her he has killed before, but she says he lies so much she does not know if it is true or not. Taylor is currently pending on counterfeiting charges as a result of the January 2018 search warrant in which Messer was charged with meth-related charges and currently on home detention. On October 31st, 2018, a search warrant was obtained out of Division 3 blah 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 for Taylor's phone that is in custody of Rushville PD, seized in January 2018 search warrant. This is the same phone Taylor was referencing when she was fighting with Messer around Valentine's Day. The warrant was executed and the cell phone was downloaded at the THPD technician's office. The download only produced communications data from November 2017 to January 2018. The download did produce 5 different phone numbers for Yonyi Messer in the cell phone contacts list. 3 audio recordings have been pulled from the cell phone download. These downloads were pulled from the ambient listening program where Hornaday was listening and recording Messer's conversation and phone calls. In 2 of the calls, Messer is offering money to other people to find someone so they can be injured or killed. The other call is Messer bragging about holding a subject hostage and shooting them at his house. He later releases them and takes them home after taking their AK-47. It is believed that the victim's last name is Tillison and they live in Shelbyville. On November 8th, 2018, Messer reported to Community Corrections in Rush County for a scheduled appointment. Assistant Chief Todd Click went through Messer's cell phone per his 4th Amendment agreement. Click observed that Messer is still downloading photos and following various Vinlander members. He also observed the following text from Taylor to Messer. Note, text was sent after both had been interviewed. Quote unquote, you have an SOS out and they only know my address. Quote, if they told us that they already questioned Brad and Patrick, what makes you think they didn't tell them that they were going to question us? Messer replies next morning, lol, get mad for no reason. Hi, Slider Pie over Jumbo. Hello. On November 20th, 2018, Taylor Hardaway was again interviewed by Ferency and Murphy at the Rushville PD. Taylor was asked how she recalled arguing with Messer during Valentine's week in 2017. She stated that in 2015 she had a miscarriage. Her and Messer then had a child in 2016. In December 2016, she became pregnant again. While pregnant during Valentine's week in 2017, she states that they were moving from one residence to another. She was angry with Messer because he was with the Vinlanders during this time. She stated she had to pack up all the stuff while pregnant and be responsible for their under-year-old son. She does not recall if Messer came home before, on, or after February 14th. A lot of people here with absolutely zero alibi. Absolutely zero alibi. Taylor said Messer was driving her 2001 Chevy Red Suburban. She recalls being even more angry with him because she noticed something like blood on the side of the vehicle. She remembers needing to take the vehicle to a car wash and using the tire brush to get it off. At the time, she assumed Messer had hit an animal. Her only recollection of the time period is 30 to 60 days after Valentine's Day 2017 that she noticed the substance. Taylor believes that Holder was a Vinlander probate with Westfall and Messer, but he did not make it in. Taylor confirmed that Messer used fake Facebook pages, and one of the names he was using was Sean Lee. She stated that Westfall used the FB Facebook name of Jäger Tyrson, who was unaware of any Facebook pages used by Holder. Taylor was not familiar with Elvis Fields. Taylor stated that Messer did know Rod Abrams. She said that Messer and his mother currently live in the house where Abrams used to live at. She said Messer and his friends called Abrams Rochester, pronouncing it in a way that made of Abrams' speech. Assistant Chief RPD interviews Britnee Odum. Odum was a subordinate meth under Messer prior to his January 28th arrest. Odum states that Messer talked about the Vinlanders often, and he was worried his affiliation with them would affect his sentencing. She said that Messer mentioned the city of Delphi several times, and she believed that someone that was into recording music with Messer was from there. She did not know the name of this person. She recalls that Messer mentioned that Messer stated that the guy he was trying to record music with in Delphi had his name and picture in an article that was published on the internet. Messer's pic and name was also in the same article. The Anti-Defamation League published an article on their website about white supremacist groups. Messer's and Westfall's names and picture are shown in the article. The ADL is linked with the Southern Poverty Law Center site. She recalls specifically the name Delphi because she had never heard of it before. Odum states that she heard that they were involved in 9 murders but did not know specifics. Odum confirmed that Messer and Hornaday would argue and fight because Messer would spend so much time with those boys. Hi, Derek. Not one of their ancestors have a drop of Viking blood in them. Well, most people in the Western world have some Viking ancestry DNA in them, mainly because my ancestors visited and said hi. Interview with Jessie Marie. Jessie declines to give her full name. She is fearful of reprisal. Jessie stated that her daughter dated Logan Holder prior to Logan dating Abby Williams. Jessie said that interacted with Logan while he was dating her daughter and after they broke up. Logan told that his mother was murdered, then stated she died of cancer. Jessie later found out his mother was alive. Jessie communicated with Logan after the murders of Abby and Libby. Logan claimed that Abby was haunting him, and he was seeing her in his house. He also stated that she was moving his shoes and their box around and messing with his TV. Logan claims his family was buckle swapped. I don't think that is correct. Well, at least not according to papers, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were all buckle swabbed, and then it became missing evidence. Logan stated that Abby was killed on their 2-month anniversary and that they only met in person once in Delphi. Logan states that he and Abby had no communication on February 12th or 13th. Jessie stated that Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall were in an Odin cult. She also stated that Holder and Westfall was in an army unit with Travis Sandiford. She stated that Travis is related to Marvin and Brett Sandiford. She stated Marvin is friends with Ron Logan. And there's the connection with Ron fucking Logan. And Brett is friends with the Paddys. She stated that Brett has a son named Bryden, who is friends with Abby and Libby. Jessie stated that Travis was also into Odinism. She also stated that Abby hung around and did odd jobs again around a Pizza King in Flora, Indiana. She stated that the Pizza King is located across the street from a house that burned down that killed 4 small children. She stated Abby and Joe Sandiford owned the Pizza King, An open source internet check shows that Marvin Sandifer commenting on police searching Ron Logan's residence regarding the murders to a media outlet. An open source internet check also shows that Abby Sandifer, Pizza King owner, talking to a media outlet regarding the Flora fire and Delphi murders. Jesse provided the Facebook Messenger exchanges between her and Logan Holder. A Facebook search of Bryden Sandifer's page shows a photo of Bryden making the Vinlander hand sign. Hey, Vinlanders, I got a hand sign for you. Cunts. For fuck's sake. Jesse stated that Marvin Sandifer lives just up the street from Ron Logan. Interview of Britnee Odum. Odum was a subordinate meth dealer under Yonyi Messer prior to his arrest. She also pending on current meth charges. Odum is a resident of Rushville, Indiana. Odum recalls Messer always talking about his association with the Vinlander Social Club. She has heard of him referring to the town of Delphi in the past. She recalls remembering it because she had never heard of Delphi, Indiana before. She thinks that Messer would refer to making music with the guy from Delphi, Indiana. She told her that he and the guy from Delphi both had their names and pictures. Yeah, this is just confirmation about the prior statements over here. Yeah, Odinist. Now, all of this here that we are reading now is something that the investigators and the prosecution desperately did not want anybody to know about. Because this investigation into the Odinist theory started on the days after the murders, and we can see here well into 2018. Well into 2018. And the defense were never allowed to bring it up. A clear theory of the murders. The defense was never allowed to even mention at trial. The interview of Jessie Marie. Jessie stated that her daughter dated Logan Holder prior to Logan dating Abby Williams. She stated that up until 2018, January 2018, they kept in touch. Jessie provided a series of Facebook Messenger exchanges between Logan and herself after the murders. In them, Logan claims to be haunted by Abby's ghost. He claims that he was out until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. looking for Abby after she was reported missing. That's not true. I don't think any of the holders ever made it out of their house or anything at all. He stated that I only met in person one time. We know that. Yes, he stated that Brad Holder was involved in some type of Odin cult. And then a repetition of what we just talked about. Interview of Brandon Mansfield. Mansfield was interviewed by Click after an arrest for possession of devil's letters. Mansfield stated that in the summer of 2016, he lived in the same apartment complex as Messer. He said that Messer was attempting to talk to him into attending Vinlander meetings. He stated that he believes he met Patrick Westfall one time at the apartment complex. Westfall was in the company of Messer at the time. Taylor Holloway finds phone. January 28th, 2019. So all of a sudden we have here we are, the Odinist theory. We are almost 2 years into this investigation. Taylor Holloway called yesterday, stating she was cleaning her house and found a phone that she wanted to turn in to us. Rushville PD Assistant Chief Todd Click went over to Taylor's house and he picked up the phone. Click opened up the phone and noted that the phone number is this. He also found 3 Google Voice numbers being used on this phone. A Delphi phone number, a Rowan phone number, a Covington phone number. And for you who don't know, Todd Click was scheduled to testify for the defense in the Delphi trial. Days before he was supposed to testify, he was arrested. And is currently awaiting trial for allegedly some tampering with documents regarding CPS or something of the sort. So that one of the guys involved in the writing of the Odinist-Report murdered, allegedly by an Odinist. Todd Click, scheduled to testify for the defense, arrested and charged. Coincidence or telling people, shh, don't talk? The blah 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 shows being activated with the Delphi prefix out of the bandwidth, in which is most commonly Google Voice. This Rowan and this Covington are also activated through bandwidth, blah blah blah. Taylor believes Messer was able to hide the phone when RPD was executing a search warrant on their house back in January 2018. The phone has been in Taylor's house since that time, and Messer has not lived there since the search warrant a year ago. On February 14th, 2017, Westphal makes contact with a blank, which was activated using bandwidth. This number is registered out of Newcastle, Indiana. Yonyi Messer used to live in Newcastle, and according to Taylor, still has friends and family there. Newcastle is 24 miles north of Rushville. So many connections, so many weird stuff. Yeah, Greg Ferency, God rest his soul. He was not an FBI agent. He was an agent contracted by the FBI. And this former prison guard, alleged Odinist, just happens to show up at that field office, firebombing the office, forcing Greg to vacate the premises, and he was gunned down. This person who did this deed was arrested, charged, and then deemed incompetent to stand trial, and has been so since. Still no trial. We have no idea why this person did it, because there's no information to find. Notes from interview of Amber Holder, separated from Brad Holder, March 1st, 2019. So this is after. Now we are over 2 years into this investigation into the Odinist theory. Amber was introduced to Brad Holder by a guy she met online she only knows as Will. Will gave her the creeps, and she was uncomfortable around him. So the guy who was creepy and you were uncomfortable around said, "Meet Brad Holder." What's with the women of Indiana? With these fucking losers. Hi, Tammy. Good to see you. Will was living with Brad Holder at the time they met, and after she moved in with Brad, she kicked Will out of the house. Good for you. She met Brad at the end of February 2017 after the murders, and they were married March 22nd, 2017. For fuck's sake, were they married within a month? She met Brad end of February 2017, and they were married March 22nd, 2017. Oh. Brad filed for divorce last month. However, she filled out the paperwork. Amber stated that Brad is generally an outgoing person with a high ego of himself. No shit, Sherlock. She stated he is an alcoholic and drinks a fifth of whiskey or rum a night. What's a fifth? Oh! A bottle of whiskey a day. That's a waste of whiskey. I mean, if this is true, Brad, why don't you just take the cheapest vodka, put a straw in it instead of whiskey? Or maybe it's a bottom shelf whiskey, which is more or less it's bad vodka with whiskey essence. She said that Brad would drink anything he could get his hands on. He was working at a landfill operating heavy machinery in Buffalo, Indiana. She believes that he recently got fired for not showing up to work. He would usually leave for work around 4 a.m. and get off the clock at 2 p.m. later if overtime was required. Amber states she is practicing pagan. No. She was practicing paganism long before she met Brad. Amber stated that Brad refused to speak about Patrick Westfall and she had never met Patrick. So something happened in and around the murders of Abby and Libby that made people stop talking to each other. Brad, Patrick, Elvis, and the others. At the exact time of the murders, they stopped talking to each other. It's almost as if they had a trauma happening. Something they thought they could handle and they didn't. She stated that Brad spoke of Patrick one time when he was intoxicated and said that he and Patrick got into a fight and they no longer speak to each other. He told her that he and Westfall were in the woods near a river conducting a ritual. One of them said or did something the other did not agree with, and they no longer talked to each other. She said the river was near Patrick's house. Note, Brad has a Facebook post with him and Patrick together in Delphi on January 21st, 2017. Amber met Brad in late February 2017, and Brad and Patrick were not speaking at this point. Amber stated that Patrick used smoke as part of his religious rituals. She said that Brad would use the cigarette to produce the smoke. Oh, you fucktwat. Incense or sage, if available, through him. Just checking one thing here. Yeah, as I thought. Sage did not exist in Scandinavia 1,000 years ago. It was introduced in the Middle Ages, 300 to 600 years later. This is so stupid. Oh, well. And incense was not, I mean, burned things and promote getting smoke. Yeah, sure. Tobacco wasn't, yeah, tobacco definitely didn't exist up there back then. These are so fucking stupid. Brad would also cut his hand between his thumb and index finger knuckles during his rituals. He would let the cut bleed and try to find Asa through rune formation in the blood as he bled. He was always trying to get her to cut herself the same way during the rituals they performed together. She refused every time except one time when she allowed him to cut her hand. She has a scar from this cut. She stated that she and Brad often went to the woods to pray to Odin and Odin. Going by the old legends, yes, Leif Erikson came to Nova Scotia. There might be some evidence that they got further south. Did they got their way into Indiana? Yeah, maybe. But no. As you might know, then the settlement up in Nova Scotia disappeared. Just maybe a couple of generations, and then they were kicked out. So no, there are no Aesir gods in the United States. Because they were, if you believe in that, they were kicked out by the native gods. Amber said that Brad keeps his guns at his father's house. She described them as hunting rifles, shotguns, and handguns. Does he own a 9mm? I bet he owns a 9mm gun. She never saw any guns in the house while she was living there. She stated that they did have numerous knives in the house. Was his guns ever tested? She said that she took most of the knives with her when she left Brad in the house. And then showed me a knife she had taken from a cigar box. They then motioned for me to look behind me and gestured towards a bucket sitting on a shelf containing numerous knives, ranging from a small machete to a Bowie-style knife to smaller knives. Were any of those tested by the Indiana State Police, by the Delphi Police Department? No. That we know of. But they are, if Unified Command feels they may be relevant. So why didn't they test them? Amber said that Brad also constructed his own knives from scratch in the style used by ancient Nordic Viking tribes. It's called forging. It's quite common all around the Western world and Asia. It's not typically from Scandinavia. Twats. She did not take any of these with her when she left. Amber stated that Logan Holder really did like Abby Williams and was in the midst of the grieving process when she moved in with Brad. Yeah, Brad Holder has changed his mind regarding Abby. That we know of, because his original interview was deleted by mistake, according to the investigators. I don't buy it, but that's the story, and they are sticking with it. But according to the notes that they had to produce, he never met Abby in the first interview. In the second interview that they performed in, I want to say 2022, 5 years later, all of a sudden, he had met Abby. Hey, Andy. Hey, Andy. There's Andy. The link to her is in the description of this stream. Let's see here. She stated that Logan's maternal mother was not sympathetic to Logan and told him to, quote-unquote, get over it. She stated that Brad attempted to comfort Logan at times, but his personality made him ineffective at it. She stated that her 7-year-old son, Riker, was kicked out of school for being physically abusive to other kids. She stated that Logan and his younger brother, Lane, would watch her and Brad pray and conduct ceremonies. but they rarely participated. Logan would ask to participate only because they consumed alcohol as part of the ceremonies, but she would not allow him. Amber stated one night at the dinner table, Logan was upset and, quote-unquote, not in a mood over the murder of Abby Williams. This was the only time Brad brought up the murders around her, and he stated that he had been trying to figure out who killed the girls, but was unable to do so. Brad Holder, your alibi is sketchy as fuck. He then stated that the police in Logansport needed to do something about the human trafficking around the city. She stated that Brad often spoke about human trafficking. Yeah, that's a rumor that has been going on in that area for decades. If there's actual truth to it, we don't know. She stated that Logan and Abby were not active, and Logan was caught losing his virginity to a girl in his grandfather's church after the murders. She stated that Logan having sex in his church made Brad very angry. She stated that since the murders, Logan has steadily deteriorated mentally and emotionally as time passed. He almost dropped out of school and has been getting more angry. He signed up to join the Marines, but has not left for basic training yet. Amber is unaware of any white supremacy groups Brad might been associated with. Well, we know he is. She stated that while they were together, Brad rarely hung out with anyone. Yeah, isn't that weird? Up until the time of the murders, Vinlanders, white supremacy groups, extremely outward going, extremely outward. After the murders, shrunk up like his balls. She thinks Brad may have been hiding secrets from her and thinks he may have been visiting his first ex-wife while he was still with him. She said that Brad and Logan both admit to speaking with the police after the murders of Libby and Abby. Second Amber Holder interview. She said that she went to Brad Holder's house today. She took her son to see Brad and Logan. While Riker was upstairs with Logan, she said she made up a story to Brad stating that her friend had a date with Patrick Westfall and wanted to know more about him. She stated Brad became very nervous and told that she needed to stay away from Westfall or she would, quote-unquote, end up dead. She said that Brad told her Westfall and, quote-unquote, his crew was responsible for the murders of the girls in Delphi and the fire that killed 2 girls. I asked her if she knew of the fires in Flora that killed 4 girls, and she said she was not familiar with any fires that killed any children until Brad mentioned it today. She said Brad may have been talking about that fire, but had the number of killed wrong. She said Brad told her that Westfall and his crew had friends in several states and that they had no problem in killing race traitors. I asked her to clarify race traitors, and she said she believed it meant white people who mix with other races. This is the same woman who, just in the prior interview, I have no idea if he's involved with white supremacy. Amber said that Brad told her Westfall and his people killed Abby and Libby because one of their mothers was mixing with other people outside of race. I asked Amber to clarify mixing, and she stated that believed it to mean having sex or dating someone not white. Brad did not elaborate on how he knew this information, and she said she did not push it and ask any more about it. Amber said Brad told her Westfall belonged to a group called the Vinlanders and, quote-unquote, 22. Brad told her that Westfall had many people backing him up and powerful friends. She said that Brad was very nervous while telling her these things and was whispering like he was fearful someone else would hear him. Logan and Riker were upstairs. She said that Brad was also fidgety when discussing Westfall. Amber said throughout the conversation, Brad was constantly telling her to stay away from Westfall. He also told her that Patrick had killed a lot of people and it didn't matter if they were innocent or not. Amber truly believes Brad is scared of Westfall. Prior to Amber leaving, she said Brad told her to stay off Westfall's radar, and I can only protect you so much if you keep asking questions. He also told her that if Westfall found out she was married to him, that she would be in danger. Brad also questioned her on why Westfall would be going on a date that he was under the impression that Westfall was married or engaged to someone. Note: I noted to Amber in her original statement, she said Brad told her that he and Westfall got in a fight over one of them saying or doing something wrong while conducting an Esatru ritual together in the woods near a river. She stated that Brad may have just told her that to avoid telling her the real reason why he and Westfall are no longer friends. General points of interest. Westfall appears 10 times in pictures that Holder posts on Facebook prior to February 13, 2017. After February 13, 2017, Westfall does not appear in any of Holder's posted photos. Elvis Fields knows Messer, who was a Vinlander probate and or friends with Holder and Westfall. Messer currently lives in house that Rod Abrams once lived in. Fields and Abrams were roommates in February 2017. According to family and friends, Elvis Fields is overtly racist. No shit, Sherlock. Westfall, Holder, and Messer were involved with Vinlanders in February 2017. Abrams had prior arrest in Florida for assault with a deadly weapon. Knife. Note: all records with Osceola County regarding this case have been destroyed due to time lapse of crime. Abrams lies about where Fields, Ned Smith, and himself were on February 13, 2017. Says they were in Muncie, Indiana, visiting a friend in the hospital. Fields' cell phone stationary and not used at his residence from 10:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Ned Smith cell phone mobile around towers in Rushville. So the false alibi. False alibi for Elvis. And no nexus. He said in an interview with Murphy that if his spit was found on one of the girls and he could explain it, would he still be in trouble? And he had no alibi. No nexus, according to Judge Gull. Westfall posts video of him on Facebook cutting down ash trees in forest near a creek. At least one of the sticks placed on the victims, on Abby and Libby, were cut, not just collected from nearby. Holder's son Logan Holder dating Abby Williams. Logan introduced to Abby by Libby in December 2016. Logan meets Abby in person, face-to-face in January 2017 in Delphi. Abby and Libby killed in February 2017. Holder posts stick symbols on Facebook very similar to crime scene. Elvis Fields mimics various random posts that Holder puts on his Facebook page. Messer is constantly using different phones. Drug dealing experience provides him with knowledge of countermeasures used by law enforcement for cell phone evidence gathering. Organized white supremacy group involvement and past military combat experience may give Holder and Westfall possible cell phone countermeasure experience. Holder and Westfall make their own homemade Viking-style knives. Photos of Holder's Facebook posts available. These include stick configurations, various Esatru symbolism that are similar to crime scene. Comparison photos of Elvis Fields mimicking Brad Holder's Facebook post. Photos containing Holder, Westfall, and Messer with Vinlanders. Note: it was assumed that Libby was the focus of the motive for the murders. However, there is the Elvis Fields statement to Mary Jacobs that Abby was a troublemaker and pain in the ass. It was also assumed that this statement meant that Abby was uncooperative from abduction point to murder site. However, this statement could indicate that there was some type of precursor event situation involving Abby and above-mentioned subjects that the troublemaker and pain in the ass statement was referencing. Note, this is a continuous document that is updated as the investigation continues. That 12-page report is originally an 85-page report. That was a summary, a compliment. Where is that 85-page report? What does it contain? Why was the prosecution and investigators desperately trying to hide this from the defense? Why did Judge Gull help them hide it from the jury? We don't know. Some of the things we do know that has been discovered afterwards is that Brad Holder later became a Freemason in the same lodge as prosecutor Nick McClelland. There are so many unanswered questions here, so many leads, so many theories, so many oddities. But what we can gather from this 12-page report is that Elvis has no alibi. Patrick Westphal has no alibi. Brad Holder's alibi is at best sketchy, because all they have is his time card, which is easily forged. He pinged himself at the gym. That you can do from anywhere. Yeah. Everything in this report should have been allowed in trial. Everything in this report has more evidence against Holder, Westphal, Messer, Fields than the entirety of the trial against Richard Allen. It's insanity. It's absolute insanity with this report, known by the investigators, because they are the fucking investigators, known by the prosecutor, known by Judge Gull, and Judge Gull actively hid this from the jury. Greg Ferency murdered a month after submitting the report. Todd Click currently charged with bogus crimes, in my opinion. Todd Click was scheduled to testify for the defense. He was arrested prior to the trial. It's insane that this ever went to trial. It's insanity that Richard Allen ever was a suspect. Absolute insanity. But he was an outsider. He was not from Delphi. And as I said in a prior stream, a bunch of us, have found a connection, a fuzzy, but still a connection between the Delphi murders and Michael Fossler. Michael Fossler is the guy who groomed, kidnapped, and raped a 14-year-old girl, the daughter of Aaron Spencer. Aaron Spencer tracked them down, pulled over the car, shot and killed Michael Fosler. Michael Fosler was from Hamlet, Indiana. 80 minutes, just over an hour and 20 minutes from Delphi, Indiana. Michael Fosler was a law enforcement officer in the 1980s in Hamlet, Indiana, where he liked to hang around high schools. He worked for a number of years as a law enforcement officer and then suddenly quit. Joined the army, moved out of state. Michael Fosler is the same age as Keegan Klein's father. Keegan Klein and Michael Fosler lived an hour apart in the 1980s, with an interest of girls in the same age group. 13, 14, 15-year-olds. Is there a clear connection? I don't know yet. We are still in the information gathering phase. But with Keegan Klein, his father, and this fuzzy connection between Daddy Klein and Michael Fosler, we have a generational pedophile ring. Generational. No, Jennifer, I do not have part 1 of the Murphy report. Michael Fosler was of a prominent Freemasons family. His mother, Marjorie Fosler, was not only a member of the Eastern Star, she was also a member of something called Fellows of the Moose, or whatever it's called, a then well-known white supremacy group. All this in, we have Hamlet, Indiana, Delphi, Indiana, Flora, Indiana, Peru, Indiana, all within roughly an hour from each other. There are connections. Most of them fuzzy at this point in time, but they're all there. All right, folks, that is what I had for you. This was the 12-page report. Hopefully, at one point in time, we will get the 85-page full report. Hopefully, we will find more information. I will go. So I will go through the trial transcripts starting tomorrow. So if you like snark, if you're not easily offended, this is the show for you. Because the coming weeks, up until I travel to the United States in September, most of my content will be about Delphi, Indiana, but also, of course, the Donna Adelson case is coming up. YNW Melly case is coming up more and more. So tomorrow, I hope that I can start tomorrow around 10 a.m. and start getting through the trial transcripts. But that's it for me. It's almost 1 a.m. I have to get some sleep before I get to work in the morning. So thank you, folks. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Thank you for showing up day after day for my rants and snark and everything. Thank you, guys. But I will see you tomorrow, hopefully at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. 10 a.m. Eastern Time. All right. You all have a good one. And I'll see you in the next stream and video. Bye-bye.
The raven waves, brothers, axes high, shield strong. From distant lands we